Hi, good morning, everybody. Bruchim Avoyim, welcome everybody. I know reaction videos are generally popular. I've tried doing some here and there. I want to try to do some more. This was a video that I saw this morning. So I did see it already. This is not a cold reaction. If people have recommendations for cold reactions, maybe we could do some of those. But anyway, I wanted to really, I guess it's not technically a reaction video then, but it's technically a commentary video, but it's still my reactions from this morning that I was able, it's not a cold reaction, it's still a reaction video nonetheless. On this video that came out a few days ago, I saw an email this morning from Mrs. Nias where, of course, a very choshevi Gaman, Nissim Black, is discussing the issues of antisemitism. This is for the Combat Anti-Semitism movement. I've, of course, made some comments through the years that are a little different about anti-Semitism and stuff. But I want to listen to this and give my comments specifically to this and not in general. So let's get started, listen. And I think I've learned that you have to pause every now and then for technically to be legally a video that's a reaction video, because I had problems with other reaction videos recently. But let's see what Reb Nissim has to say, and then we'll go on from there. So I guess the download quality is not that good. Maybe I can use a different version of the video to make it better. Again, at least this is a cold reaction to this recording. I listened to it before on Twitter, but I downloaded from YouTube. Also, really to share fair use at the prison. But in any event, so here he's saying it was before he had even converted to Judaism fully. He obviously converted to the ideology of Judaism, but we're talking about the actual becoming part of the Jewish community. And he said he was out in the forest near an apartment complex. He doesn't remember if he lived there at the time or not, but he knew he had lived there at some point. He was associated there. He was out in the forest talking to God, like Breslov Chassid, right? And he said some kids started throwing eggs. I guess he was visibly Jewish, wearing a yarmulke or something. He was visibly Jewish, and some kids threw eggs at him and called him Christ killer. I want to mention one thing about that. Maybe it's different where he lived, and he didn't mention any other details about this. But I'm almost certain that those kids don't go to church every Sunday. That's just one comment that I wanted to bring up, thinking about this. I don't know, unless they are, from the Westboro Baptist Church or something like that. They're not going to a mainstream, even very conservative church every week if they're throwing eggs at a Jew and calling him a Christ killer. That's just my first take on this. Alright, what is this guy trying to do? Alright, let's go weiter. That's what brought the awareness of antisemitism. All right, so again, I should maybe pause a little bit more. So he said he'd been subject to different jokes and things over the years. If you weren't able to hear what he said, um, and the subject to different things that could be anti-Semitic, and people have talked to him about it online and so forth through the years. Again, I'm sorry that I'm reiterating just what he's saying. That's just because the quality of the audio is so low. Even I put it through the Bluetooth through my radio, I thought it would be easy to hear. Anyway, I like what he says that I just paused by. When you go low, I go high. Let's continue, because I want to talk a little bit more about that, but let's see what he has to say about that. Right, my way of combating is to put more positivity into the world. That's really the way that I see that. Easiest equalizer to put things out. Just go ahead and continue putting out more positivity in the world. I do it in music, I do it through speaking, I do it through, acts of kindness. Being able to make sure that we are controlling our narrative. We as Jews, need to be controlling our narrative as people. They have their rants and different things they need to feel to say. I think it's very important that we be controlling our narrative. We don't have to address everything, I think. I think sometimes that can be counterproductive. All right, so these are two things, three things that he brought up that I think are worthwhile discussing. And I'm sorry, I'm putting this out here. I'm nobody to be discussing this or anything else. I'm putting it out here. So first of all, I really like that idea of putting out the positive, right, as opposed to just fighting the negative. Controlling our narrative, it sounds a little uncomfortable to me, but it's true. We should be, and I think to me the most important narrative, and I know Reb Nissim, who is hashtag God's man, it should be our religious devotion to God, and focus on Jewish people as a religious community, and not only the non-Jewish people who might have some negative ideas about Jews, quote-unquote, control the narrative, but also not let the secular heretics of Jewish ancestry control the narrative. I mean, one thing I always say is, a good Jew who happened to be a Jew by choice, like Reb Nissim here, or Ivanka Trump, or whoever else, is a real Jew, and these heretics like George Soros and so forth are not, and we shouldn't be crying anti-Semitism every time someone says something bad about an evil guy like George Soros or Bernie Sanders or some of the Rothschild bankers, especially ones who are involved in a lot of occult and pagan rituals. Not that they have all the control that people say, and this whole thing with the Jewish space lasers, and the truth is, yes, there was a plan. It's an actual true thing to try to control the weather using some satellite technology, and there was a man named Rothschild who was on the committee to do this. That doesn't mean that it's Jewish space lasers. The Jews are not to blame for this one guy named Rothschild, and we shouldn't conflate it. Just because his name is Rothschild doesn't mean that when Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned that somehow she's some kind of anti-Semite. That's not how we should be reacting either. We should be more concerned with attacks on our religion. Maybe they might be coming from self-identified Jews, particularly the attacks on the yeshiva education system, but also attacks on Jewish values that we share, that Christians and Muslims got from us. That in a certain way we have much more in common with religious Christians and Muslims than we do with a lot of these left-wingers who happen to maybe have a Jewish sounding name, or maybe not even a Jewish sounding name, but claim some kind of Jewish heritage. which might actually be specious anyway, but doesn't really matter because in halacha, a mechal Shabbos for Hesias can go l'chol davar. They're not part of the Klal Yisrael if they're not. I can be lenient about what it means in mechal Shabbos for Hesia, but what I'm saying is someone who doesn't even recognize the basics of Judaism in some basic way. So again, I'm not talking about someone who drives to shul on Shabbos, would not have the din of a mechal Shabbos for Hesia in that sense, because they're going to shul, even if they go to conservative shul. But someone who doesn't even believe in God, doesn't believe in anything holy, doesn't believe in the Torah, doesn't believe that there is a Shabbos. Those people are not part of Klal Yisrael, and it's not anti-Semitism. I don't even like that term, but I'm not going to talk about that right now, to be discussing that. The other issue that he brought up is that it can be counterproductive, and that is certainly the case. I mean, there was recently this whole question of this day of hate or something like that was supposedly going on, and nothing happened. And don't give attention to this nonsense, and I think a lot of it is false flag, ops. It's known that Herzl wrote in his coming up He'iyar, Rachman Litzlan, and Herzl Yamach Shemoy, who was a total heretic. I know some people don't want to say Yamach Shemo. I don't agree to that. This is someone who is a heretic who, pushed, to destroy Judaism. And he said that the job of the Zionist would be to increase anti-Semitism in the world, to attract more Jews to join the Zionist cult. And unfortunately, a lot of people are caught in it. I don't include religious Zionists in that because their ideology is even though I disagree with their ideology, they're not heretics. They are our brothers and sisters, but they're wrong. But anyway, let's go a little weiter. But they're not coming out of the heretical views. It's a different view. Maybe they're not wrong. They're not heretics. That's what I mean. They're part of the Klal Yisrael. But they're getting involved in things that are problematic in my esteem and in the esteem of most of the Gedolei Yisrael. Even a lot of the Gedolei Yisrael that they revere, like Rav Soloveitchik and Rav Kook, had a lot of anti-Zionist or non-Zionist views, and are they really following Rav Soloveitchik? Are they really following Rav Kook in a lot of these things? Anyway, let's go weiter. It can be counterproductive. Because we should be giving attention. Yeah. Constantly shining more light in the world. Very good, beautiful. Doing acts of positivity. Israel was on the scene fast for Turkey. Those are Jews. That's what Jews do. I do support that part of it. I think when we're doing something good, that's I don't have a problem. I have more of a problem with just in general the idea of a Jewish state and so forth. But what is this? So anyway. That is my answers on these things. I know I said some things that might not be popular, but in any event, I wanted to share one more story. There was the Bluzhever Rebbe, when he was in line, whether he was going to go to the death camps or the work camps, whether his life was going to be spared. The guy who made the decision was his old neighbor, and every morning Never had a long conversation with him or anything like that, but every morning he wished him a good morning with a nice smile. And when that came to be, and so years later he's there in line, and this old neighbor of his was deciding whether he lives or dies. He said, "Hey, Rabbiner, you don't belong here." That was the story. Meaning, we have to get to know each other to a certain extent. A lot of the problems are how much we are othering. Sometimes that's by choice, but we can maintain our identity and not lose that while still being in the world and having involvement with people outside. It may not be for every individual to have that mission, but there should be goodwill ambassadors to the world from every community. And so that's why we have these different Haskonim who go and involved with politicians and so forth. But I think they should also be involved to a certain extent with clergy and with other community leaders in order to build those relationships, so we don't have this idea, just even something small like that, saying good morning to your neighbor every day, and that could be the difference between life and death for you as an individual. And maybe if more individuals did that, it wouldn't have happened like that. The thing is don't go so extreme. Know your place, know where you belong, and so you don't want to be in everybody's face either. So you have to have the proper balance. To remember what the Chazal say, that the Hebrews in Egypt, they wound up in all the theaters and all so forth, and so and the Egyptians were disgusted by it. They're like, who are these foreigners coming into our country? And now they're just total. They're not assimilated, but they're still here. But the thing is that they can never really assimilate. The Jew can never really assimilate. And so that's part of where this whole notion of anti-Semitism comes from, but they don't realize that that's a call within the Jewish soul to repent and come back to God. And that's why I believe to a certain extent we need this tough love of calling out heretics when they're heretics. I know people call me a heretic, but I mean actually halachic heretics. Most people are not heretics. There are very few heretics that care about being Jewish and that wear their Jewish identity on their sleeve. But a lot of people who wear their Jewish identity on their sleeve are heretics. It's a balance. It's a balancing act. So anyway, with all that being said, I think it's time for me to get off my soapbox. I've said a lot of stupid things. Not that I don't believe them or even think that the ideas are stupid, but some things maybe shouldn't be said because it hurts people's feelings, and I apologize if you made it this long and I hurt your feelings. I apologize. I don't apologize for saying things, but I apologize for hurting your feelings. So, but it's how I see, how I understand it, and a lot of the things that I've said that might be controversial are facts. And they say, facts don't care about your feelings, right? But I'm sure Ben Shapiro's feelings would probably be hurt by those facts too. Thank you for watching. He's a big Zionist, right? He's a religious Zionist too. So thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and I hope we can all live in peace. All right, how do I turn this thing off? 20 minutes. What am I doing? I meant to make a 5-minute video, and I can't shut myself up. That's my problem. The big mouth, right? All right, we'll see you later. Love you. Take care.